My friends at Easy Cater are workplace catering pros, helping you find food for everything from daily employee meals to staff meetings and special events. Visit easycater.com/leaderassistant to find out more.
Hello, my name is Whitney Kelso, and today's leadership quote is by Brian Tracy, and it says, "Become the kind of leader that people would follow voluntarily, even if you had no title or position."
The Leader Assistant podcast exists to encourage and challenge assistants to become confident, game-changing leader assistants.
Howdy there, it's Jeremy Burrows, your host of the Leader Assistant podcast. I'm sure you've heard me talking about the Leader Assistant book. The subtitle is 4 Pillars of a Confident, Game-Changing Assistant, and the book launched a couple years ago. It's been an Amazon bestseller, and I'm hopeful that you've had a chance to check it out and read it. There's an ebook version, there's a paperback version, and there's an audiobook version. You can find out more at leaderassistantbook.com. But today I wanted to let you know, in case you hadn't heard, I also have a workbook. This is an in-depth study and discussion guide for game-changing executive assistants and administrative professionals. It's the official companion to the #1 best-selling book, The Leader Assistant. So if you're looking to maintain the status quo, then this workbook's not for you. But if you want to dig deeper and learn to lead yourself, lead your team, and lead your executive, then it's time to dive into this in-depth and practical study and discussion guide. So you can grab your digital printable PDF copy of the Leader Assistant workbook at leaderassistant.com/workbook. There's also a link to the ebook version on Amazon if you don't need a printable version. But yeah, leaderassistant.com/workbook. leaderassistant.com/workbook. Hope you can check it out. Hope it helps you lead yourself, lead your team, and lead your executive. Hey friends, thanks for tuning in to the Leader Assistant podcast. It's your host, Jeremy Burrows, and welcome to episode 204. You can check out the show notes at leaderassistant.com/204. leaderassistant.com/204. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Whitney Kelso. Whitney is an administrative assistant too at one of the largest healthcare organizations in the U.S. And I'm really excited to dive in. So Whitney, how's it going?
Doing great, Jeremy. Thank you so much for having me.
And what part of the world are you in?
I am in Virginia Beach, Virginia, in the good old US of A.
Awesome. Are you from that area?
I am originally. I kind of did a round trip visit here. I was in Virginia Beach, and then I moved out to California, and I landed right back where I am.
Nice. Awesome.
Yep.
Well, let's learn a little bit about you personally. Do you have pets or kids or hobbies or all of the above?
I have all of the above. I live in Virginia Beach with my husband, and I have 3 bonus daughters that are 26, 29, and 20. I have 3 crazy dogs and 1 horse. So it's pretty busy.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the horse's name?
Yeah. His name is Image.
Image.
So he's my heart.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually born in Virginia, but I moved to Kansas City, Missouri when I was 1, so I don't really remember anything. But I have a special place in my heart for Virginia.
It's a pretty neat place. I like it.
All right. Well, so tell us a little bit about your career. How did you end up as an assistant?
Oh my goodness, quite by accident, as most of us say. But I've got a background in human resources, a background in accounting and workforce development. But in all of those, it's always had the assistant element to it. So I've been an executive assistant at a church and did HR administration for another company, and it's just kind of come full circle. And I have found my niche and what I really love to do, and I kind of like being the leader from behind and not from the front. So this is kind of where I like to lead with the servant's heart that I have. And so, my bosses will tell you that I'll just kind of go after everything. I'll see an email and I'm like, I can take care of that. So they're like, okay.
Awesome. So how did what industry have you been in healthcare after that initial experience, or what other industries have you been in?
I was in workforce development for about 10 years, and I was the office manager and executive assistant for them. And then I moved into a business assistant role. So I worked with local businesses on the workforce and kind of marrying job applicants to this new employer that we've developed the relationships with, and did tons of job fairs and things of that nature. I was also in human resources, doing pretty much managing human resources. There were 2 different organizations that were pretty small, certainly not the size of the company that I work for now. But I did that. And then I had a stint a long time ago, and I have no idea why I was there because I'm a horrible accountant, but I was in the accounts payable department. So looking back, I have no idea how that happened.
That's funny.
That was about 100 years ago. So
yeah, I was I'm in a startup, and I was hire number 1, and so the first year or so, my CEO was like, "Yeah, I'm going to need you to take care of HR/people and accounting," and I was like, I'm an introvert and I'm not very good at math. So that was fun.
I am 100% on board with that.
Awesome. Well, so tell us so I was also a pastor's assistant, ministry assistant, nonprofit church assistant. Tell us about the difference between the nonprofit and the private for-profit world.
It's not obviously it's not corporate. It's not huge. Everything is very, very small. Everybody knew everybody else's business. And in a large corporation, you can choose to have your business out there or not, right? So but at the church, for example, and at a technology company that I worked for, they were also a startup. It was just everybody knew everybody's business because they were so tiny, And I remember at the technology organization, after hours, we would play video games, like war video games together. And so people would be in their offices, and we would all just hear people like shouting and yelling at their computers because we're all playing together. But, in this kind of this suite in the shopping mall, right? It was just, wow. Looking back, I'm like, well, how did I do that? Why did I do that?
Wow. That's great. So do you enjoy the healthcare world?
I do. I support the folks who do like the architecture and supporting the APIs, as well as another engineering department, since I support 2 staff vice presidents. So they're the most intelligent people I've ever met, and also the kindest people that I've ever met. Even though it's such a huge organization, everybody treats each other as family. And of course, the culture of the company itself rolls downhill from the top, right? So we, working for a large organization was one of the things that I was terrified to make the move from all these little small organizations that I had always worked for. Mm-hmm. And I think that the workforce office, before I came over to my organization, had 22 people physically in the office. And that was the extent of us, right? And so here, we have over 112,000 people working for the company worldwide and internationally. Wow. I was terrified to make that move, and true, the first week or so I had to leave breadcrumbs if I had to go use the ladies' room because the place was just enormous. And so I was a little bit overwhelmed there. But, now that I'm plugged in and I'm networked and stuff, I work with the best administrative team on the planet. And I'm bragging and I'm saying that, but I am so proud of the group of us. I think there's a little over 700 administrative professionals at our organization. And, we share knowledge, and we keep people informed because nobody can know everything at a large organization like that. I have not run into some of the typical cliques that inevitably do happen in some buildings and things of that nature, because we have such an awesome group. It's you can share freely, you can ask questions and not be looked down upon for not having the answer already. It's because everybody experienced this knowledge overload, and it's pretty amazing. I've never once had a really bad experience with any administrative professional here. It's amazing.
That's awesome. So let's talk about networking and learning as you're a part of that large team. Often I've talked with assistants in large teams like that, and they're sounds like you haven't experienced much of this, but there can be silos and there can be cliques and there can be, oh, we've been here doing it this way, and you got some new people coming in and they're not really feel welcome. But it sounds like you're a part of a great team. And how do you, or have you personally facilitated networking and professional development, learning within that group? Does everybody kind of pool their resources and budgets and ideas together to do group training and group networking opportunities, or does it kind of split up based on region? I'd love to hear a little bit more about how
I think that bringing a trainer in from the outside or something is something that I would love to do. But what we've got going on the inside is we call it the administrative learning group. And so we meet once a week, and we have guest speakers, internal business partners that we work with all the time. So like travel and expense will come to a meeting once a month, right? So to give us the latest updates and the latest rollouts so that we know what's up and coming and we can cascade that to our teams. Because they know, our quote unquote power within this organization has kind of been discovered. And so people are asking to be part of these meetings. Can I come and speak about XYZ? And it's, so we have, and our president and CEO has gotten wind of it and kind of knows who we are, which is really amazing, we think. But so we get together weekly, and I happen to be on the steering committee for this learning group. And so, we're also very, very tight. There's about 20 of us, and it's it's just an honor to work with these people every single day. Even though we are a large organization, like I said, I have never experienced any kind of cliquey behavior at all.
That's great.
Yeah.
How is it? Is it hybrid? Is it all in office? Is it a little bit of both?
We are obviously now, since we've gone through the COVID thing, we are now hybrid. I know that they want to have people back into the office as much as possible. But there's for me, for example, where I'm located, I don't have the people I support are not in my region. They're west, right? So
right.
There's really no need for me to go in because I'm not going to be supporting anybody there. If, of course, they were having a meeting in our office, I would certainly go in there and help out and be there. And when I hear of people within our entire organization that might be in town for anything, I do go there to make sure that I can meet them and see if there's anything I can help with. But other than that, I kind of stay upstairs in the bedroom with the dogs while I work all day.
That sounds like heaven to me.
I can get so much more done. Yeah, and it's funny, that I'll go into the office and I get really frustrated when I actually work in the office because I'll go in for social events, but I get so frustrated because the internet's so slow. And I'm like, I could have gotten all this work done by now.
Right.
I just stayed home. But it's the social aspect too that's very important.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your title. So administrative assistant 2. Did you start as that at this organization? Did you work your way up? And is there a career path?
I did start with that. And basically, since we're such a large organization, they base the title of the administrative support based upon the title of the person you support. So, for example, I support my direct line report is to a staff vice president. So as an administrative assistant 2, that's as high as I can go under them. People stay administrative assistants 2s for a long time because they have a broad range. My leaders are very, very good if I want to go to a IAAP summit or or take a class online or something. They're very supportive of that because they know, I don't think that they really understand if it's an administrative thing, but if I'm taking anything like business acumen or anything like that, they're 100% for it. And then, but with administrative stuff, I think that they're starting to see the value of it.
Mm-hmm.
But, they're also techies, and, they deal with things that when I walk by their computers, when I see them, I don't even understand what's on their screens, so.
Nice. So do you see for you personally, for your career, are you like excited to be in this level, if you will, of administrative assistant two for a long time? Do you have like goals and aspirations? Do people ask you, even, friends and family, oh, when are you going to do the next thing, or what's next for you?
Sure. Yeah, I do get asked that quite a bit. But as administrative professionals, I think that we all realize that the fit between the admin and the executive is super important and is key into the success of the relationship. And, so if I do hear of a position that's open and I know who the person is and I know how they are, I may or may not be interested in that. Now that I have more knowledge of the people at the company, but it's, so I have to consider the people that I work for, and I work for two of the most fabulous guys, right? So that and their teams just keep me so rooted because we're all so close, and it's really just an easy working relationship. They reach out to me all the time, of course, and I do a lot of follow through on deliverables for them. So it's just we kind of all know each other, right? So for me to make a change from that, I would either follow my boss if he got promoted to a vice president, or I would I would really have to heavily consider who I would be supporting, right? So I would just have to make sure that we're a good fit. And usually in an interview, when you're talking to them, you're interviewing them right back, right? So you could tell if they're harsh, or if they're some kind of way that just messes with your insides, right? If you have to deal with that every single day. So if it's something like that, you can walk easily away and not accept the position because it is a two-way street interview.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier this idea of having a servant's heart and wanting to help. And how do you balance that with setting boundaries and being, avoiding burnout?
Oh, that is such a great question. And that is just my theme of 2022. I am involved with so many committees and so many ambassadorships because I just want to have my hands on everything, right? Both at work and outside of work, right? So I kind of hit the brick wall in April when I had a semi workload put on me in addition to what I already do. And I just was like, you know what, something's got to give or I'm going to end up in the loony bin. So I really had to start setting hard boundaries. And I felt when I do it, I feel mean because I'm so used to being the yes girl saying, sure, I'll help you with that. And then like adding it to the list and staying later at night and everything. And then it got to the point where I was like, you know what? If I don't have anything to give, I'm not going to serve these guys the way that they need to. And I say guys as all encompassing because obviously there's men and women on the team, but you know, I serve them with my servant's heart, but I can't take so much on that I'm going to become resentful of what I do for them. Right. So I really had to kind of hit hard boundaries and, you know, I do work a little bit late sometimes, but if people try to contact me after 5:30, I generally don't respond back. I have like a message on my outgoing email about, you know, that we're in a digital world. And so it's really easy for people just to get online at midnight and expect a reply and stuff. But since we are so digital, you know, there's other important things in life like family and hobbies and things like that so that you can clear your head so that you can come back and you can focus. But I was at the point when I hit that brick wall where I would look at my to-do list and it's like all of the words would like just become soup. And I couldn't, where do I start? And something that's so simple and so natural and so automatic for me, it scared me. It really did. I was like, oh my God, I can't even make a decision. And so I really had to like step back and look at that. And this was like a period of time in the beginning of last year. So we had the Ukraine starting and all that kind of stuff. So everything, I was just overwhelmed. And so I had to give myself permission to not sit at my desk and not move for 8.5 hours, right? It's okay, get up and take a walk. That'll clear your minds. And as soon as I started seeing the benefits of that, I'm like, oh yeah, let's get some more of that going on. Yeah. So, nice. But it's a matter of also getting to know myself and my limits. And, at 52 years old, I just don't have the time or the patience for some of this stuff. So I have to kind of really pick and choose the things that I become involved with. Right. So I'm involved with the one ambassadorship that I really haven't participated in like the last 2 years, because it's over and above everything, but it's good knowledge to have for the business. So I keep that ambassadorship up, but I just am not active, I pick the important things to me, and that is our culture. So I'm an ambassador for culture at our company. And I am also, we have recognition awards. So I'm an ambassadorship for that program. And so, get all the information ahead of time. And it's just really nice to be able to pass that on to the teams as FYI, and so I've had to drop things so that I didn't have those extra stressors. So it's still a year of growth, and it's a time of getting to know myself, I guess, again. Mm-hmm. But it's actually been really good, because I think we have to go through kind of that kind of stuff to grow. Being uncomfortable and stretching is part of it. So,
have you had any? I assume your team's been supportive, or have you had any pushback on like, since you've tried to set those boundaries?
No, because I think that because I've got the support of my SVPs, they are in my corner. And so when I broke down and told them that I had hit this brick wall and they knew about it, they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, because I was just doing everything. I'll just do everything and I'll be fine. Yeah. And then, I wasn't. So, but it's just been an incredible year because of getting to know myself and my limitations, and when to say no, and for me to say, I've just got to walk away, and I would just ping them on Teams to say, hey, need to take a couple of hours here. I'll be fine, but I'll be back, and they're always fine with it. I always take my cell phone with me. Although if I go to like see the horse or something like that for my sanity time, I'll leave the phone in the car. So because that's kind of my sanctuary. So it's so I know what I need when I get to certain points.
That's great. Well, Whitney, this has been great. I want to talk a little bit about leaders and how administrative professionals / assistants are leaders, and a little bit about the influence and the power that we hold. You mentioned you're an ambassador on the culture team, and so tell us a little bit about that, and how have you seen, or what are other ways you've seen yourself and your administrative professional colleagues and friends embody the influence and power even in leadership that we hold?
Well, I'll start with the power, and it's power that you have to know that you have, but not wield it, because I'm not in a position to wield any power, right? But I see things that most people don't see, and so I'm privy to information that some people are not privy to. So therein lies power that's there. But I also have the absolute ear of my executives. I can contact them at any time, and they're always responsive to me. And people know that if I can make time in the schedule for stuff, I think that I've have a reputation, because I try to hold time for my executives, like so they have like a bio break, they have lunch, they can take a walk, because they're in back to back meetings. So I think that they know that I do this hold, and so they contact me and say, hey, is there any way I can squeeze X amount of time in to see so-and-so? And they know that I can try to make things work, and so, but it's still, I'm the gatekeeper of the times. And I know my LinkedIn says I'm a compassionate gatekeeper, but sometimes I'm really selfish with their time, because I don't want them to become sick because they're just in back-to-backs and they never get any breaks, and stuff. So, I'm very protective of them.
Right.
It's like, I feel like I need to go before them with a sword and a shield just to say, what's coming at them now? And, oh, okay, you're good. You can come through,
Right. Oh, that's great.
but it's also, so it's power not to be wielded, but to know that you have. But on the other note, we need to be visible. We need to be seen, and so that people know our value. Because we're not in that movie 9 to 5 with Dolly Parton. We're not in that era anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's people with minds, and they have ideas and they want to implement their ideas. And I've had ideas that have flown, and I have had ideas that flopped. But my bosses know that I'll bring it up and go, hey, what do you think about this? Or what about this idea for a fun meeting? And so I'm doing 2 of those tomorrow. So it's nice to be able to have their ear, and they're really great leaders, so if I'm not doing a quick check-in and I'm having a serious talk with them, I glean a lot of knowledge from those guys. It's amazing. So to have the seat at that table, and to be able to sit in leadership meetings with your organizations and be heard, not just listened to and then poo-pooed, but really heard, and they're like, yeah, that's a great idea. It's kind of an honor,
Yeah, that's great.
Kind of the way I look at it.
No, I agree, 100%. Well, Whitney, what's the one thing, that you would like to leave with assistants listening? Now, you've got assistants who love their job. You've got assistants who hate their job listening. You've got assistants who are brand new, a month, 2 months, 3 months on the job, never been an assistant before. And then you've got assistants listening that have been assistants for 30 years. What's one thing that you'd like them to take away from our conversation?
I would like people to know that they can reach out for help, and that they're appreciated. They are powerful in and of themselves. But Eleanor Roosevelt once said, do one thing every day that scares you. And to me, that means, take on challenges, take on stretch assignments, take on volunteering or learning something new that you can bring back to the organization or your company, because then that is what makes you invaluable, because that's knowledge is power, and nobody can take it from you. So you can take it into a future life. You can take it into your current life. It's an amazing thing to have and be thirsty for.
Love it. Well said, Whitney. Well, if people want to reach out and ask for help or say hi and connect with you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Well, I do have my LinkedIn, and you're welcome to publish that with the podcast. That's totally fine. And I'm on Facebook and everything too. So
great. But
primarily LinkedIn would be the best way, and then they'll see who I work for there.
Sounds good. Well, I'll put that in the show notes for sure. People can reach out and say hi. Leaderassistant.com/204, leaderassistant.com/204 for the show notes, and Whitney's bio and LinkedIn and all that will be on there. Whitney, thanks so much for being on the show. Best of luck to you and your dogs and your horse and your kids and everything else.
Jeremy, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all that you have done for this leader assistant community, in empowering us and backing us. It's just been amazing, and I think that your book is kind of used as the assistant's Bible. So
thank you.
Thank you very much for being you.
Please review on Apple Podcasts. GoBulls.com